Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with breaking news out of World Wrestling Entertainment. TKO Group Holdings and Netflix have announced this morning that WWE's signature weekly telecast, Monday Night Raw, will begin airing on the streaming giant beginning in January of 2025. According to reporting by CNBC's Alex Sherman, the new deal is for 10 years and is valued at more than $5 billion. As part of the deal, Netflix now holds the rights to air Raw across all of North America as well as the United Kingdom. Additionally, Netflix will now become the home of all WWE programming outside of the United States, including premium live events, documentaries, and specials. WWE's current deal with Raw for NBC Universal expires this October, which will put the status of the show in limbo for 2 months before the Netflix deal begins. Also this morning, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been named to the board of directors of TKO Group Holdings, according to a statement issued by the company. Quote, Johnson has significant experience identifying and cultivating revenue-generating media rights, live event sponsorship, licensing, and social media opportunities. The appointment of Johnson reflects TKO's commitment to delivering long-term value and strong performance for shareholders through strategic growth initiatives across both WWE and UFC. End quote. The release also noted that Johnson has fully secured ownership rights for all intellectual property related to the Rock nickname. Last night's edition of Monday Night Raw was broadcast live on USA Network from the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. In the main event, Drew McIntyre pinned Damian Priest thanks in part to the distraction of R-Truth, which backfired on Priest. The show was also highlighted by an in-ring promo confrontation between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, in which the two men discussed their past history and both vowed to win the Royal Rumble, even if it meant going head-to-head.
And right when you're about to cross the finish line and finish your story, oh wait, what's that in the distance? It's a much bigger superstar that hasn't been around in a very long time, coming to take it all away from you. And I'm talking about me.
There you are, looking out for me again. You might be right. You talked all about the American dream. Well, then you should know this. He was my best friend, and he regularly quoted John Wayne. And the quote I heard the most is, courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyways. You may be right, but I have only one direction I can go. I have to go, and that's forward. And that's in the Royal Rumble. That direction goes through you.
Despite a heated confrontation to end the segment, the two men did not come to blows. In the opening segment, an injured world champion Seth Rollins addressed the crowd, declaring he would work to make sure he was physically ready for WrestleMania in April. Rollins was confronted by Intercontinental Champion Gunther, who stated his intention to win the Rumble and challenge Rollins at WrestleMania.
I appreciate your honesty, Gunther. Now here's a little honesty from me. You can challenge me at WrestleMania if you win the Royal Rumble, but I want you to remember one thing. Remember who you're coming after.
You better remember who's coming after you.
Becky Lynch confronted Nia Jax during another in-ring promo segment, but was jumped by Bayley from behind. Also on the show, New Day and Imperium battled to a no contest, and Dominic Mysterio pinned Miz with help from Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Balor continued the attack after the bell until the save was made by DIY. In other results, Ivar pinned Chad Gable, Ivy Nile beat Valhalla, and Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler defeated Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Women's Tag Team Champions Katana Chance and Kaden Carter confronted Stark and Baszler afterward, but were jumped by Asuka and Kairi Sane of Damage Control. In ratings news, last Friday's episode of SmackDown brought in 2.408 million viewers to Fox, which was in line with the previous week's audience of 2.385 million, according to WrestleNomics. The rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a .62, which was down 3% from the previous week's key demo rating. AEW Rampage from Friday night drew 390,000 viewers to TNT, which was also steady with the previous week's audience of 396,000, according to WrestleNomics. The rating in the key demo was the same as the previous week at .12. Turning to Japan, longtime New Japan Pro Wrestling headliner Kazuchika Okada has provided some details on his departure from the company. Speaking to Tokyo Sports about the parting of ways, Okada explained, quote, "First of all, my contract was up this year. It was a good time for me to think about something. When I thought about whether I should sign another contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling or whether I would look at other worlds, I thought that maybe this was my last chance. It was only really recently I made the decision. I felt too comfortable. Maybe if I stay here, I can wrestle without any inconvenience, but I don't want to be in a situation where I have to rest on my laurels," end quote. It was just announced last week that Okada would be leaving New Japan after the expiration of his contract at the end of the month. It's not yet known where the 36-year-old Okada might wind up, but there have been strong indications it would be an American promotion like AEW or WWE. And in video game news, WWE 2K24, the latest annual installment of WWE's long-running video game franchise from Visual Concepts, will be made available in March, according to an official announcement made yesterday. The standard edition of the game will feature Cody Rhodes on the cover and will go on sale March 8th. There will also be a deluxe edition featuring Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair on the cover, and 40 Years of WrestleMania edition, which will feature past WrestleMania headliners like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Steve Austin, and The Undertaker, both of which are set to go on sale March 5th. Said Rhodes in the announcement, quote, "I've been known to keep a checklist of key milestones I want to experience on the path to finishing my story. As an avid gamer, being named WWE 2K cover superstar is very, very close to the top of that list, and I'm very happy to work with the teams at 2K and Visual Concepts to bring that dream to life," end quote. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.